Happy Saturday morning, all. Thank you for joining me today for our 15th episode of Saturday Morning Coffee. I'm Nolan, our lead writer and founder of Dime Novel Adventures. Today we'll be reviewing November 2024's adventure, Wedding Bashers. If you're ready, I've got my coffee, so let's dive in. Wedding Bashers, November 2024. A Dime Novel Adventures wedding goes slightly awry. Wedding Bashers, a level 15 plus adventure, November 2024. Synopsis: the long-anticipated wedding of Prince Nolan of Elendor and the Princess Dawn of Dune has been interrupted by an ancient enemy. They must be reminded why this was a poor idea. Written by The One True AZ. Edited by Flame Reptile and The One True AZ. Cartographer, The Silent Cartographer. Art by The Noisy Artographer. Disclaimer: the Prince of Elendor is allowed no more than one drink per hour prior to the ceremony. Afterwards, we wish you the best of luck. Special thanks to Dawn of Dune, The One True AZ, Flame Reptile, Portal Ripper, The Silent Cartographer, Garlic Man, and The Angry Ginger. Introduction. The party finds itself attending a most auspicious event within the city of Dune, the wedding of Prince Nolan and Elendor. The wedding of Prince Nolan of Elendor and Princess Dawn of Dune. Although the prince and his groomsmen are renowned fighters and adventurers, the party has been hired as bodyguards to defend the ceremony from the prince's many political enemies. The party has been given very simple instructions. Make sure nothing, or nobody, prevents the ceremony from occurring. The party takes point, guarding the grand doors of the chapel where the ceremony is currently being held. Read or paraphrase the following. The prince and princess stand atop the altar, staring into each other's eyes. Behind them, a beautiful stained glass window bearing the family crests of the prince and princess, bound together by a heart, stands tall. The hall, which is adorned with numerous lavish decorations, is filled with a great number of guests, both family and friends of the bride and groom. Behind the groom stands 8 groomsmen, renowned adventurers across the plain, and behind the bride, her bridesmaids. The priest steps forward between the couple and begins to speak. Family and friends, we've all gathered here today to bear witness to the union of 2 great kingdoms, bridged by the marriage of Prince Nolan of Elendor and Princess Dawn of Dune. The ceremony continues for several minutes until the prince and princess begin to exchange their vows, when a red haze begins to fill the room and the lights of the hall are suddenly extinguished. Faint chanting can be heard by any creature with a passive perception of 18 or higher. The chanting is in the common tongue, sounding as, from Count Monologue, a contribution. I bestow upon you a curse of stillness and silence, so it sit down and shut up while I lay down some exposition. The party, like all attendants of the wedding, now find themselves unable to move once the lights are extinguished. However, attendants are able to move their eyes and look around. After the loud sound of shattering glass, the lights are illuminated once again, revealing the heart that had bound the crests together has been shattered. Floating above the glass shards, before the prince and princess, is a short humanoid wreathed in red robes and a mingled brown mask. It gazes down at the prince, bowing mockingly, and says, "Ah, Prince Nolan, it appears the curse of Count Monologue has captured your attention once again. Do you remember me? It is I, Duke Marinero!" His voice drips with malice and arrogance as he dramatically removes his mask, revealing a smooth face with a pencil-thin mustache and short, pointed goatee. Isn't this a picture-perfect scene? A groom standing tall at the altar, a bride wreathed in radiant beauty, and all of these witnesses to your finest moment. But did you really think you could have it all, Nolan? That you could truly be victorious while I still breathe? Duke Marinero's eyes lock onto the bride as a sinister smile spreads across his face. Lovely Princess Dawn, Your prince here has made you promises he won't be able to keep. Promised you a future together. But that was a lie. He doesn't deserve you, and he can't protect you from me. Duke Marinero raises his hand as a red mist swirls around it. You've taken everything from me, Prince Nolan. My honor, my pride, my life's work. And today, I will take everything from you, starting with what you value most. He reaches out and grasps Princess Dawn by the arm. Wish to see her one last time? Come to the city catacombs to say your last goodbye. In a massive cloud of red mist, Duke Marinero, with Princess Dawn in hand, disappears. The remaining cloud of red mist condenses into numerous misty balls that scatter across the room. 8 balls strike the groomsmen, first encasing them with a red crystalline structure before teleporting 7 away. Upon disappearing, you can feel your restraints are lifted, and you are once again free to move. The remaining balls of red mist lash outwards and strike several nearby decorative suits of armor and numerous wedding gifts. The suit begins to glow red and animate, walking forward towards the prince, while the wedding guests that were struck twist, contort, and ooze with the red liquid. Roll initiative. Ballroom Blitz. After the balls of red mist were released by Duke Marinero, they flew outward, striking groomsmen, wedding guests, and decorative armor alike, corrupting them with the eldritch magics of the Duke's patron. Struck decorative suits of armor animate into maronites, while a struck wedding guest is twisted into a canoodler. The prince's groommen, being far too powerful to simply corrupt, were instead trapped within a crimson frozen prison, animated into a sauce sentinel. A number of decorative suits of armor equal to twice the number of player characters are animated to maronites. A number of wedding guests equal to 5 times the number of player characters are corrupted into canoodlers. 7 of the 8 groomsmen were teleported away after being imprisoned, while the 8th remained and was animated into a sauce sentinel. Their maronites begin combat in the location of any suit of armor as shown on the battle map, while the canoodlers begin similarly within the pews. The sauce sentinel begins combat 15 feet to the right of Prince Nolan. Prince Nolan. Prince Nolan is a renowned adventurer, being an 11th level devotion paladin and a 4th level zealot barbarian. He begins combat to the right side of the altar, flying into a rage at the interference of Duke Marinero. Once all combatants have been dispatched, Prince Nolan will greet Jacob of Dark Wars and thank the party. See In Pursuit. Prince Nolan will lead the party throughout this adventure, using them as prized tools to save Princess Dawn and to obtain vengeance upon Marinero. Saucy Prison. Once the Sauce Sentinel is defeated, it melts away into red mist, leaving behind the imprisoned groomsman, Jacob of Dark Wars. Jacob is a 15th level human war cleric and trusted friend of the prince. Once released, Jacob will join the party until the princess has been saved. In Pursuit. Once the Maronites and Canoodlers have been defeated, and Jacob of Dark Wars has been released from his imprisonment, the prince will approach the party. Read or paraphrase the following. After the last of your foes are defeated, the prince approaches your party, saying, "Thank you for your aid, but we have no time for rewards now. We must quickly make our way to the cathedral, in which the catacombs lay beneath. This way, quickly!" Following behind the prince and Jacob, the party will travel a dozen blocks across the streets of Dune. For a longer game, or one over several sessions, at the end of each block, roll 1d6. On a roll of a 1, the party is ambushed by a horde of canoodlers, composed of 1d4 canoodlers for each party member, plus the prince and each of his groomsmen. For a shorter game, expedite the party's travel to the cathedral. See Accursed Cathedral. The Streets of Dune. The streets of Dune are lined with tall Gothic buildings with steep, guarded roofs. Each block is consistently 360 feet long and terminates in a 4-way intersection. Although the streets are typically clean and bustling with happy and bubbly denizens, the chaos caused by Duke Marinero has left the streets primarily empty and littered with goods and carry-ons dropped in haste to escape. As the party traverses the streets, read or paraphrase the following. Hurriedly, you follow behind the prince and his groomsmen, though the uncharacteristically empty streets of Dune. The chaos caused by Duke Marinero appears to have frightened Dune's denizens, indicated by the myriad of hastily dropped goods and carry-ons. The accursed cathedral. After the party has traversed the streets of Dune, they will arrive before the Grand Cathedral, a towering Gothic structure adorned with beautiful stained glass windows. The two massive doors at the front of the cathedral rest ajar. After the party enters the cathedral, they will be greeted by the cleric of Marinero, a corrupted priest by the patron of the Duke. The cleric of Marinero is flanked by two Saw sentinels and a number of cultists of Marinero, equal to twice the number of the party members, plus the prince and his groomsmen. Unbeknownst to the party, unless they can see invisibility or possess true sight, there are a number of basilgeists equal to the number of player characters, floating behind the cleric of Marinero. As the party approaches the cathedral, read or paraphrase the following. As you finish your race across the streets of Dune, you approach a massive Gothic cathedral built amongst the other buildings. The two huge doors at the front of the cathedral appears to have been forced open and have been left ajar. A trail of red sauce suggests Duke Marinero and his servants have been through here. You pass through the doors behind Prince Nolan, beyond a large empty vestibule, and into the cathedral. Beyond the doors, a long red rug, stained with a dripped red sauce, runs the length of the cathedral. Numerous pews rest between additional perpendicular rugs. At the rear of the space, an altar rests atop a short set of stone steps framed by two massive golden statues. Beyond the altar, another set of huge doors rests ajar, similar to the entrance. Standing atop the altar is a man dressed in brown-trimmed red robes, the vestiges of Duke Marinero. He turns as you enter, swinging his arms outwards, declaring, "So, the groom and his lackeys have finally arrived. Before you can even hope to save your dear bride, you'll have to contend with me." He raises his arms mockingly as they exude unholy energy. Suddenly, a putrid scent whirls through the cathedral as the doors immediately to the left and to the right of the cleric burst open. Out of each door stomps a Saw sentinel. Then, in unison, numerous cultists of Marinero rise from the pews. Roll initiative. Battle positions. The cleric of Marinero will begin this combat standing atop the altar. From each door immediately to the right and to the left of the cleric, a Saw sentinel will appear. A number of cultists of Marinero equal to twice the number of party members, plus the prince and his groomsmen, rise from the random locations within the pews, but close to the altar. The basilgeists begin positioned evenly spaced around the front of the altar. Saucy Prison. Once the first Saw sentinel has been defeated, roll 1d2. On a roll of a 1, the Saw sentinel melts away into red mist, leaving behind the imprisoned groomsman, Wyatt, legacy of Braddock. Wyatt is a 15th level dwarven totem barbarian and cherished brother of the prince. On a roll of 2, the Saw sentinel melts away into red mist, leaving behind the imprisoned groomsman, Frostmourne the hunter. Frostmourne is a 15th level zombie ranger and distant friend of the prince. Once released, Wyatt and Frostmourne will join the party until the princess has been saved. After the first of these groomsmen has been released, the second Saw sentinel will contain the remaining groomsmen. Cleansing of the cathedral. After all the heretics within the cathedral have been slain and the groomsmen have been released from their Saw sentinel prisons, the prince will lead the party into the catacombs beyond the altar. Read or paraphrase the following. As your party delivers the final blows to the heretics within the cathedral, the prince rushes forth to the altar, calling out, "It seems the schemes of Marinero have even corrupted the clergy of Dune. Quickly, follow me. The catacombs are beyond this door. There we can find Marinero and save my bride." You hastily follow behind the prince in the dark catacombs beyond. Catacombs of Doom. The Catacombs of Doom, tucked away behind the altar of the Church of Dune, were built at the mouth of an ancient cave where heroes of old had perished while imprisoning an ancient dragon within. The church was built across the cave mouth, and the catacombs were built within as part of an effort to stymie the undead within. Cabal within the catacombs. Since his arrival, Duke Marinero has released the eldritch energies of his patron throughout the catacombs, corrupting the undead within. The interior of the catacombs of Dune are normally dark. However, due to the glowing heat of the dripped sauce left behind by Duke Marinero, the catacombs are illuminated with dim light. The walls of the catacombs, lined with loculi, are dry and dusty from years of being sealed up and neglected. The interior has the stale scent of old dust. C1. Just beyond the entrance of the catacombs, this moderate-sized space branches off to the left and to the right. Ancient claw marks can be found etched within the stone floor and across the walls, leading towards the left. Once the party enters C1, the many loculi built within its walls crumble, releasing a number of cavatapans equal to the number of party members, plus the prince and his groomsmen. Roll initiative. A creature that inspects a cavatapan with a successful DC 18 Wisdom Medicine or Intelligence Arcana check can determine that the cavatapans are reanimated corpses, long imprisoned within the catacombs, that are steeped with both eldritch and necromantic energies. C2. Taking the path to the left of the entrance, this long hallway is riddled with loculi, all cracking and crumbling with emerging cavatapans. Once entering this space, the party has one round before the cavatapans have emerged from their loculi. At the end of the round, a number of cavatapans equal to 3 times the number of party members plus the prince and his groomsmen emerge. For each cavatapan, roll 1d10. On a roll of a 1, replace the cavatapan with a basilgeist. Roll initiative. The walls of this hallway show signs of past battles, being riddled with large claw marks along the floors and walls, scorch marks along the walls and ceiling, and ancient, destroyed, and discarded weapons. At the end of C2 rests the entrance to the Dragon's Chamber, the space in which Duke Marinero has taken the princess. The entrance to the Dragon's Chamber, C3, appears to have been artificially widened at some point in the long past by large bodies squeezing through it, indicated by massive gouges around its edges. C4. Taking the path to the right of the entrance, a long hallway branches off against the right into C4. Within this room rests a large red crystal, reminiscent of a dormant saw sentinel. Within the crystal is a glowing yellow eye that watches any creature within the room. Unbeknownst to the party, except to members that can see invisibility or have true sight, there are 1d4 plus 1 basilgeists that defend the crystal to the death. The crystal uses the same statistics as a Saw Sentinel, but has a movement speed of 0. It lacks the Saucy Prison ability and lacks the Eldritch Stomp action. If the crystal is destroyed, the number of cavatapans summoned each round within the Dragon's Chamber is cut in half. Once destroyed, a loud screech is emitted as the yellow eye dissipates. If the Saw Sentinel within C5 has not been defeated, it will immediately move into C4 to attack the party. C5. At the end of the path rests a moderately sized chamber containing a Saw Sentinel, left behind to ambush the party, if overlooked, and to defend the crystal in C4. If the party ignores C5 and advances into the Dragon's Chamber, this Saw Sentinel will pursue the party into the Dragon's Chamber and attack from behind once combat is started. If the party destroys the crystal in C4, this Saw Sentinel will move to C4 to attack the party. Saucy Prison. Once the Saw Sentinel is defeated, it melts away into red mist, leaving behind the imprisoned groomsman, Lost Arts Spencer. Spencer is a 15th level half-elf conjuration wizard and trusted friend of the prince. Once released, Spencer will join the party until the prince has been saved. The Dragon's Chamber. The Dragon's Chamber. After the party passes through C3 into the Dragon's Chamber, they will encounter a sight most macabre. Guarded by 4 Saw Sentinels, Duke Marinero finishes his ritual to reanimate the ancient Marinera dragon. The dragon steps away from its ancient resting place, revealing behind it a glowing yellow eye that opens its pupil to birth cavatapans from another plane. 3 red crystals with yellow glowing eyes within ominously cast red light across the room, and a red barrier surrounds an altar which Princess Dawn lays upon. When the party enters the room, read or paraphrase the following. As you continue onwards, you enter into a large cavern, glowing red from within. Guarded by 4 saw sentinels, Duke Marinero finishes a ritual, reanimating a horrifically twisted red dragon. He teleports atop its back before calling out with malicious pleasure, "My dear prince and his lackeys, you're just in time. I've called forth my patron and resurrected a new friend. As soon as my ritual be completed, binding Princess Dawn to me, heart and soul, you have just a single minute, prince, to put an end to me before she never recognizes you again. As if you would be able to slay me, though." Princess Nolan responds, "My companions and I will slay you and your patron, filth." Duke Marinero, on the back of his dragon, steps forward, revealing a horrific yellow eye embedded upon the wall. Its pupil twists and contorts as it begins to birth a familiar twisted creature, a cavatopin. The saw sentinels begin to advance, and 3 red crystals within the room glow brightly. Roll initiative. Light. The dragon's chamber is dimly lit by red light cast by the glowing crystals, the altar, and the dragon Duke Marinero rides upon. Scenery. The dragon's chamber was once the final resting place of an ancient red dragon, corrupted by Duke Marinero's patron. The dragon was laid to rest in the back of the chamber, in a place where the ground is rocky and uneven. Behind it, from the corpse of the dragon, grew an eye of Duke Marinero's patron over centuries. 3 large stones are littered around the dragon's chamber, having once fallen from the ceiling in the ancient conflict. Near the stones, 3 red crystals have grown, each containing a glowing yellow eye that watches creatures within the chamber. The dragon's chambers are 45 feet from the floor to the ceiling. Marinera crystals. The crystals use the same statistics as saw sentinels, but have a movement speed of 0 feet, lack the saucy prison ability, and lack the eldritch stomp action. At the beginning of each round, each Marinera crystal heals either the ancient Marinera dragon or Duke Marinero. The amount of healing done by each crystal is determined as 1d10 for each intact Marinera crystal, including the Marinera crystal in C4. If all 4 Marinera crystals are intact, each of the 3 Marinera crystals in the dragon's chamber will heal either the ancient Marinera dragon or Duke Marinero for 4d10 hit points. For each crystal that has been destroyed, the number of cavatopins summoned each round within the dragon's chamber is cut in half. Once a crystal is destroyed, a loud screech is emitted as the yellow eye dissipates, leaving behind a basilgeist. The nearest saw sentinel will move to defend a crystal under attack. Eye of the Patron. Grown in the wall behind the dragon's resting place is the eye of Duke Marinero's patron. The eye of the patron has a movement speed of 0 feet. It is immune to all forms of damage and cannot take actions or reactions. At the end of each round, on initiative count 1, the eye of the patron births 1 cavatopin for each player character, plus the prince and his groomsmen. Each 4th cavatopin is replaced with a marinite, and each 6th cavatopin is a basilgeist. The number of cavatopins birthed each round is cut in half for each Marinera crystal destroyed. The eye of the patron is destroyed if all Marinera crystals are destroyed. Saw Sentinels. The 4 Saw Sentinels begin combat in the spaces labeled S. Saucy Prisons. Once a first Saw Sentinel has been defeated, roll 1d4. On a roll of 1, the Saw Sentinel melts away into red mist, leaving behind the imprisoned groomsman Sir Richard, King of Draconia. Richard is a 15th level Dragonborn Oath of Conquest paladin and is cherished friend of the prince. On a roll of 2, the Saw Sentinel melts away into red mist, leaving behind the imprisoned groomsman, the one true Az. Az is a 15th level humanoid wild magic sorcerer and a valued friend of the prince. On a roll of a 3, the Saw Sentinel melts away into red mist, leaving behind the imprisoned groomsman Cameron, the calm-minded. Cameron is a 15th level Furbolg moon druid and distant friend of the prince. On a roll of a 4, the Saw Sentinel melts away into a red mist, leaving behind the imprisoned best man, Lord Andrew, champion of Nolan. Lord Andrew is a 15th level Goliath champion fighter and best man of the prince. Once released, Richard, Az, Cameron, and Lord Andrew will join the party until the princess is saved. Altar of Corruption. To the left of the entrance rests the Altar of Corruption, and atop it rests Princess Dawn of Dune. Princess Dawn appears to be tied to the altar and struggling to wriggle free. Each second the altar glows brighter with the same red energies that swirl around the room. Surrounding the Altar of Corruption is a prismatic wall conjured forth by Duke Marinero. This prismatic wall swirls with a similar corruption as everything else Duke Marinero touches. Once Duke Marinero has been slain, the prismatic wall dissipates and Marinero's ritual to corrupt the Princess Dawn is disrupted. After 1 minute, 10 rounds, if Duke Marinero is not defeated, the ritual is completed, but is stopped by the princess's unity ring. A voice rings out from both her and the prince's rings, announcing, "A union that shall not be corrupted. If she can't have him and he can't have her, then none shall." In a blinding flash of light, all creatures, including the prince, princess, party, Duke Marinero, and his minions, and the duke's patron within the city of Dune, are slain, and the adventure is lost. If Duke Marinero is slain before the ritual can be completed, see rewards. Duke Marinero. The malicious Duke Marinero begins combat riding atop the ancient Marinero dragon and the location on the dragon's chamber map labeled Dragon Spawn. Duke Marinero uses his action each round to command the ancient Marinero dragon, beginning combat by forcing it to use its breath weapon. Tactics. Beginning combat, the ancient Marinero dragon will use its breath weapon action, using its legendary resistances and legendary actions to their fullest extent. The ancient Marinero dragon will relentlessly attack the party, the prince, and the groomsmen. While riding the ancient Marinero dragon, Duke Marinero cannot be targeted by abilities, spells, and attacks. He must use his action to command the ancient Marinero dragon, but can cast spells that have a casting time of a bonus action, and can use his legendary actions. Dethroned. Once the ancient Marinero dragon has been slain, it will collapse into a pile of bones and goo, as its animated and corrupted flesh melts away. Duke Marinero will be unceremoniously thrown from the dragon's corpse, landing within 10 feet of it. Massacre of Marinero. Once Duke Marinero has been reduced to 0 hit points, he will begin to implode, being sucked into the eye of his patron on his chest. His blood-curdling screams will echo across the city of Dune as any remaining Saw Sentinels melt away and release their captives. Any Marinero crystals are destroyed, the ritual is disrupted, and Princess Dawn is freed, and any remaining canoodlers, Basilgeists, Maronites, and Cavatopans are destroyed and melt away into nothingness. The prince will run forth to the princess to ensure she was all right. Read or paraphrase the following. You deal the final blow to Duke Marinero, causing him to implode within the glowing yellow eye of his patron growing from his chest. All creatures corrupted by the magics of Duke Marinero melt away into nothingness, freeing this plane from his influence. The prince rushes forth to the princess, asking if she's all right. After giving her a thorough examination, the prince says, "I think we've done it, my friends. We've saved the Princess Dawn. Quickly, let us return to the chapel so that we may be married." Rewards. With the Duke slain, the city guards quickly bring peace and order back to the city. The prince, princess, and groomsmen, with the party in tow, return to the castle to finish the wedding ceremony. The prince and princess exchange their vows. Now married, the pair begin their lives together as king and queen. As a reward for the party's help, King Nolan and Queen Dawn grant each party member a grand gift, a single use of a wish spell, barring wishes that would bankrupt the kingdom, kill a humanoid, crumble an empire, etc. If the party managed to free all of the groomsmen, King Nolan will introduce the party to the quartermaster, a dwarven man with a red mohawk named Grimbolt, gifting each of them with a legendary magic item. This adventure features many new stat blocks for unique monsters. A special thanks to the One True AZ. In the month of October 2024, our lead writer, Flame Reptile, and our lead editor, the One True AZ, each took an arrow to the knee. This adventure was written by the one true AZ for the bachelor party of Flame Reptile, giving him and his 8 groomsmen an unforgettable game. We had a lot of fun playing through this adventure the first time, and even more writing as an adventure for Dime Novel Adventures. We want to wish the one true AZ and Flame Reptile a lifetime of happiness with their respective marriages, and thank you, reader, for playing our adventures. A Fight for Matrimony. Join Dime Novel Adventures in the very adventure that was ran during our lead writer's bachelor party. Aid Prince Nolan of Elendor with saving his bride-to-be, Princess Dawn of Dune. Written by the one true AZ, this adventure introduces unique characters and a unique setting to the pages of Dime Novel Adventures and allows players to embark on a classic search and rescue mission to save a princess. A level 15 plus adventure for a party of 3 to 6 adventurers. An adventure for use with your favorite role-playing fantasy game. Please visit us at patreon.com/Dime Novel Adventures. That's all we have for November 2024's adventure, Wedding Bashers. We hope that you liked this adventure, and if you did, you can find this adventure and more on our website at dimenoveladventures.com and our shop. Remember to like and comment on this video to tell us what you thought about it, and subscribe to our channel for all of our future content. Make sure you subscribe to our newsletter on our website for updates on all of our current and upcoming content, and join our growing Discord community. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great week.